In the early days of a game called Fallout 76, I had a colleague of mine who discovered an interesting trick where if you had too many of a particular item in your inventory, you were able to crash the game and duplicate items, I believe was the trick. Regardless, what they found was that there was a particular number that you had to have, and it was known that it was above 200 but less than 300. And this particular colleague of mine, being a particularly good automaton, said, that's interesting. What if we tried the number 256? In which case, they tried it, and at 255 items it was fine, but at 256, that is precisely where the game crashed. And you may be wondering, well, how could they possibly have known that? And I'm so glad you asked. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Hello, and welcome to Chaosian Controls, the show where we talk about modern devices, technology, and techniques for automating your home, business, or life. I'm your host, the Automation Doctor. Today, I thought we could go ahead and talk a little bit about binary. And as it turns out, I've taught how to read binary several times in my life, and what's always interesting to me is how much people think that it's going to be rather difficult. The fact remains that binary really isn't all that difficult depending on how it is taught. If you've ever looked in a textbook and you've seen them try to use the explanation of, the first spot is the 2 to the 0, and then you go to the 2 to the 1 and the 2 to the 2, and if you are an expert with mathematics, it probably makes perfect sense to you, and I gotta tell you that's never worked well with me. But I've even gotten to the part where I've been able to teach, old-time mechanics how to read binary. And so I'm going to go ahead and show my simplified technique that probably is not nearly academic enough for anyone who has my kind of degree out there. But hopefully it's going to go ahead and show you how to read a binary statement the next time you see one. So as it turns out, as far as I'm concerned, as long as you can multiply by 2, you can read binary. For instance, if on this screen here I've got a number and we start with the ones place, and simply put, binary indicates that something is either on or off, it is yes or no, or in this case, we add it or we don't. So in the ones place, above this particular number, in the ones place, I have a 1. So yes, we add 1. For every position that we go to the left, simply multiply by 2. And so 1 multiplied by 2 is 2. And here you can see that there is a 0. So we are not going to add 2 because it is a 0. It is off. It is no. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. And in the 4 position, you can see that yes, there is a 1 there. So we are going to add 4. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. And here we have a 0, so we will not be adding 8. 8 multiplied by 2 is 16, and there is a 1 on the 16, and this is as far as we're going. And so yes, we are adding 16, no to 8, yes to 4, no to 2, yes to 1. And so the total of this number that we are looking at is 16 plus 4 plus 1 is 21. And that, in essence, is how you read binary. So let's go ahead and do a couple more examples following this exact idea. Now, in this next clip, you'll notice that instead of 5 numbers, I've gone ahead and put 8 numbers. And you may be asking, but Doc, why 8 numbers? And the fact remains that sometime long ago, we decided as a society, as a people, as a whatever, that we were going to make a fairly default amount of bits. Each one of these values is called a bit as 8. And you may have heard that 8 bits make a byte. And so I have here an 8-bit number or a 1-byte number. And this is the standard size for a chunk of data in most modern computer systems and architectures. So, let's go ahead and look at the number that we've got up on the screen here. And you'll notice that I've got all ones, and on the bottom we start with the ones place. Multiplied by 2 is 2, multiplied by 2 is 4, multiplied by 2 is 8, multiplied by 2 is 16, multiplied by 2 is 32, multiplied by 2 is 64, multiplied by 2 is 128. And you will notice that if we add all of these numbers together, they come to 255. Which is to say that in the popular game, or maybe not so popular, depending on which circles you run in, Fallout 76 in the early days allotted 1 byte to the inventory for any particular item, and you could carry 1 byte's worth of a particular item, gave you 255, and so if you happen to carry the magic number of 256, which is more than this register can actually count up to, you broke the game. Ta-da! Now you understand binary. That's about all I have for you today. Go ahead and tune in next time, and I will catch you later.